When I was younger, I thought that I will only change my circumstances if I'm really successful. So successful in school, successful at the university, and maybe even successful in my job I'm doing. Because I am from a family that had a little bit of challenges in itself. My mother was quite poor too. So I remember that sometimes I had to even steal coal so we had heat at night. And then my mother also had alcohol problems. So I got delivered into an orphanage for many years of my life. So I saw in my environment other kids who grew up with me in the orphanage, for example, and did not excel at school or did not looked more within what can help them to improve the situation. They suffered quite a bit. And so I made this great promise to myself that I will give my best at school so that I can get out of that situation. And I remember even more strongly as older as I got when I was a teenager, and then even at university. So I had this strong strife within myself to give my best, to excel in all these external things, to change my circumstance. But then when I entered Sravasti Abbey, started training here, I had still this mindset of striving, of being somebody who is accomplishing something. So, and I thought entering a monastery includes reading a lot of scriptures, studying a whole lot, and meditating, and a little bit of service for the monastery. So, but entering the monastery, I realized early on that this will not be the way. And I had great resistance because of my past experiences. I thought this will be the end of my life if I'm not learning, if I'm not studying a whole lot and reaching a certain point, because at that time I had not enough knowledge about the possibilities of and the importance of inner development. So Velma Shutrin, she emphasizes a whole lot on mind training, on applying the teachings in our daily life. And that resulted in me, because I did not have a whole knowledge of Buddhism, that I doubted my teacher's abilities to lead. But as more as I listened to her, as more as I found out that her teachings are truth, that her teachings are based on the knowledge, on the wisdom of the masters of the past, and on logical reasoning as well, and personal experience. So I had to come to the conclusion that the way how she taught is the way to go. And I had to learn to drop my usual way of approaching things, of fighting for myself, basically. So the way how Venerable Shutrin approaches the teachings, approaches how she leads her students, is similar to how the masters of the past have done that. I would like to emphasize here a teacher that I myself take as a great example, especially in times also when my mind gets a little disturbed again. So Atisha lived in the 11th century, and he had one disciple, a lay disciple, Tromtemper, that he met later in life. Tromtemper continued the lineage of Atisha. He was a very, very good disciple. One day, Tromtemper asked his master, what is more important to attaining Buddhahood? Learning great scriptures or listening to the teacher's teachings? And Atisha replied, it is much more important to learn the teachings than the great scriptures. Why is that? Even if you can repeat all the Tripitakas, the great teachings in Buddhism, by heart and correctly, there is still no guarantee that your mind will behave accordingly. Through the teachings of the teacher, you must be able to put into practice all these meanings of the great scriptures. Otherwise, Dharma and person go separately. But Dharma and person must converge identically. So one of my teachers in Germany, he also said that the teaching shall become our own biography. And let's see how that may look like. Just as a background, Atisha, he had a well-known teacher, Salingpa or Tromtrompa in Sanskrit. And Atisha made a great journey to meet his teacher, Salingpa, because Salingpa was well known for having accomplished bodhicitta. And that was taught to Atisha that this is the fastest way to attain awakening. And that was Atisha's approach. He wanted to achieve awakening as quickly as possible. And before he met his teacher Salingpa on Sumatra, an island south of Sri Lanka, he circumambulated the great stupa of the Buddha in India, in Bodh Gaya. And while he circumambulated, he saw two statues, and these statues talked to each other. And it said that one asked the other, one statue asked the other, if you wish to achieve awakening as quickly as possible, in what way should you train? And the answer is, a totally dedicated heart of bodhicitta was the reply. And the other statue said, O mendicant monk, if you wish to realize your fullest potential quickly, train in love, compassion, and bodhicitta. So Atisha took that to heart, and he took on this great journey of 13 months traveling by boat to Sumatra, what was a very dangerous journey at that time in the 11th century. And there he found his teacher Salingpa, who trained him, or with whom he trained for 12 years. And he said that through this training, he have gained peace of mind and the dedicated heart of bodhicitta. So then he continued teaching later on in India and also in Tibet, and he spread the teachings. First of all, he reformed and revitalized the teaching in Tibet, and then he spread further the Mahayana teachings. And many teachings, such as the lamp to awakening, is accessible to us now due to his kindness. And one teaching is given to one of his closest disciples, Jangshub. He was the king in the 11th century, and he followed his father's, Yeshe's, wish to rejuvenate the Dharma in Tibet, and became himself a very devoted and very skilled practitioner. And Atisha had to go back to India, and then Jangshub asked Atisha, please give us one more advice. And Atisha said, I gave you so many teachings already, but since you have been such a good disciple, I will grant you one more teachings. And then basically he taught on the 6 parameters, and I would like to share briefly how that could look like, how it could look like to apply the teachings, the instruction from the teacher into our daily life, with whatever circumstances we have. So he starts off, when you have a lot of riches, there's no point in hoarding those riches. Therefore, you must be able to generously, the first parameter, distribute these gifts to other people. So whatever we have learned in life, or whatever we have gained in life, he is giving the advice to share it with others. So in my case, I don't have a lot of riches, but I have a lot of experiences. I grew up in this environment that was a little bit disturbing to my mind in the beginning years. I have met people who helped me along the path, such as teachers or friends, and they gave me a lot of love, and that love I carry with me, and I can share that with others. So that's a practice of generosity. he continues, in these degenerate times, it's extremely important to behave in a morally correct manner. That would be wonderful in this existence, and you will be happy in your next existence. So moral conduct is very important if we want to get anywhere in our Buddhist practice. And for example, I said that my mother was addicted to alcohol. That led to all kinds of actions up to the point that she was not able to care for her own children. And so it had a bigger impact, and her own life was a mess. And so if we want to benefit others, then we have to refrain from harming ourselves, from taking intoxicants to start with. Hateful feelings are the worst thing you can have. Therefore, you should live without anger. Put on the armor of patience. And here, His Holiness said often that it's not good to suppress our anger or, other emotions. We have to work with them. We have to identify them and then apply the antidotes. And even if you can't work with the anger at the moment, if the antidotes are not strong enough, if you don't have a strong habit of applying the antidotes, if you haven't meditated enough, I find it very funny. You made this gesture of, then at least bite in your fist so that you don't do something that is really harmful to others. So this is for those of us who are a little bit weak and haven't yet really practiced. Then our teacher continues, because of your laziness, you are still here in samsara. Therefore, you should recognize this and strive for its realization with great joy. And your joyful endeavor should be like a kindled fire. So this is a big statement, I find. But how to awake joy? And we can, for example, look back 5 years ago. Where was I 5 years ago, 10 years ago? And we see a certain change in ourselves. Of our young friends here just 1 year ago. And every night we can look back and we can see, oh, today I did not act out in anger. I rejoice in that. Or today I managed to meditate 10 minutes. I rejoice in that. And every day we will point out certain things in our life we have done well in accord with the Dharma, in accord with our ethical principles, and to remember to rejoice, because that rejoicing will propel us into the direction of doing it again and continuing further on the path. And we will feel great joy because we have a certain success in our actions, with our actions. Atisha, if you continue to live as you have always been, if you remain totally distracted and only practice sometimes, then this behavior is not right. You spend your life with it, and your life comes to an end, and with it. That would be a shame. And now it's really high time to focus your thoughts on your concentration. So here we can apply whatever level we are in yet. We can just focus on our breath, even during the day when we go from one building to another, or we can envision the Buddha at our heart or on the crown of our head, or really apply the calm abiding meditation on the Buddha in our meditation practice, even if it's just 1 minute, 2 minutes, and increasingly over months, years. And that will help us to stay more focused in whatever we are doing even in life, and then we can benefit others even more. And last but not least, he's saying, because of your wrong view, you are not able to see the real situation. Then you should try to understand the real pure meaning. And here he's referring to emptiness, dependent arising, and huge topic. But for example, I myself, I have a strong identification with my past. I'm this, victim of socially disadvantaged family, of being an orphanage, of being abused, and I don't know what. And so this image is so strong, but I can, through the work of remembering dependent arising, remembering, dismantling what is the self, and looking at the four analysis, for example, for those who are aware of it, learning the different techniques, how to see what is really there, what is the self, what is my past, and dismantle it, and then to make yourself free, make ourselves free, to become the person we aspire to become. We don't have to be a victim for the whole life and be determined by what we have experienced before. We can be free. We can make ourselves free. And so he continues, he finalizes, my friend, there is no happiness in the swamp of samsara. May you go to the arid surface of nirvana. You can only achieve this if you carefully meditate on the instructions from your teacher. Here we are again at the very beginning. He's not saying you have to study and get better in your exams. It's saying, okay, listen what your teacher is saying and sitting down or just reflecting in your daily life. And trying to apply it in all what is going on and changing our usual way of thinking and doing things. Through this, you will understand the sufferings of samsara, and you may hold on to that in your mind. So that's his hard advice to his close disciple, Trungpa. And we should not be shaken by others' opinions. I remember when I once went to Germany and I gave some mind training teachings there, an old Dharma friend asked me, are you able also to teach something else, or is mind training the only thing you can teach? And I felt a moment of shame. Oh my goodness, I can't teach the high philosophical texts, but I know that I have practiced, and he may not know that. So I know that I have practiced to the best of my ability, and I have practiced as best to what my teacher has instructed me. And I know that I'm on the right path with that. And that is the most important, that I'm able to see, okay, I have tried to change my mind. I have tried to become a better person, to become a good person. And that for me, when I die, I feel good about it. I don't want to die and say, oh, I have memorized this and that text. I have been able to debate this or that or that. I don't want to die with that just because of that, to be a person presenting something that is not mine. I want to make the Dharma to my own biography, and I hope that inspires you as well to look into that and listen to our teacher's advice and follow it. Thank you.